Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnah Shabbos, Perek Vav, Chapter 6, Mishnah Hey, Mishnah 5. I'd like to dedicate this morning's learning in memory of my mother, Ms. Shlomis Rabinowitz. Shlomis Mas Rabbi Yaakov Eliezer. Should be a schus for her neshama. Okay. Yoitze Isha B'chutei Seyar. Now the Mishnah is going to list the things that people may go out wearing on Shabbos in the public domain. Yoitze Isha B'chutei Seyar. A woman can go out with strings made of hair, braided into her hair. Bein Mishalah, whether it's her own hair. Bein Mishal Chaverta, whether it's her friend's hair. Bein Mishal Behema, or whether it's animal hair. So it seems like they used to take these hairs, twist them into some kind of a string, and then braid their hair with it. So we say that any kind of hair that we're talking about, whether she made it from her own, from somebody else, or even from an animal, we say that she can go out wearing them on Shabbos. Now, before, we had other examples of things in her hair where she wasn't allowed to go out on Shabbos into the public domain with them. And the reason was because, in case she needs to go to the mikveh, things that she'll have to take out of her hair in order to go to the mikveh so that the water can get to her hair, we're afraid she's going to take them off and then just end up carrying them the rest of the way after going to the mikveh in the public domain. In this case, when it comes to these hairs, even though they're made into string and they're braiding her hair, they are not that tight, or they're still porous enough, let's call it, that the water can get through. And therefore, halachically, there is no need for her to remove them in order to go to the mikveh. And once there is no need to remove them, we're not afraid that she's going to do it. Now, the Mishnah speaks out whether it's her own hair, somebody else's hair, or animal hair. And the reason why the Mishnah speaks out all three examples that our Tanura says is because you might have thought that her own hair should be okay with, but somebody else's hair, you might think that at some point of time she'll get disgusted with it because it's not her hair and she'll take it out. Or if it's animal hair, and animal hair can be recognizable by people, how they're going to see it exactly, I'm not sure, but it's recognizable to people, and because of that, people might tease her for wearing them. Maybe some ladies can recognize it and they'll tease her for wearing it. She might take it off. So we might have thought that maybe these other hairs, we would be concerned she's going to take them off and end up carrying them in the street. Therefore, the Mishnah said all three cases. In either case, when she's actually using them, the Chachamim, the sages, were not concerned that she's going to take them off. All right. So that's the first thing the Mishnah lists that a woman can wear out into the public domain. She could go out wearing a headband and bangles as long as they are sewn to her hat. Now, these headband was more like a head. I think I understand it more as like a head plate. It was an ornament. The bangles were an ornament. The concern was in the previous Mishnah where we said she can't wear them. We're talking about where it's not sewn to her hat, and we're afraid she's going to take them off to show to her friend. But once they're sewn to her hat, which means she cannot take them off to show to anyone without taking off her hat and therefore uncovering her hair, therefore we are not concerned that she's going to do that. That's why the Mishnah says she can go out wearing the headband or the bangles when they are sewn to her hat. Next, she can go out wearing a kavel, which is a forehead pad, and a pe'anach, which means a wig, lachatzer, into a courtyard. Now, this kavel, this forehead pad, which we had before, is something that actually protects her head from the headband. It's also an ornament. And therefore, that when there was a concern, if she wears it in the public domain, the previous Mishnah said there's a concern she could take it off to show to her friend. Here we're saying, specifically, she's wearing it into a chutzner. She's wearing it in a courtyard. In a courtyard, if she takes it off, she's not going to transgress a deraisa. So because of the fact that the Chachamim wanted her in a courtyard to still look pleasant to her husband, certain things they allowed her to wear in a courtyard. The other things that we mentioned before that she cannot wear them even in a courtyard. But these things she can wear into a courtyard, again, so that she can look pleasant to her husband. And the other example is in our Mishnah is a pe'anachris, which is another word for a wig. She lacking hair, so she wears a wig, that she should appear that she has hair. Here, we might have thought, so again, in a public domain, we're not going to let her wear it because of the fact that we're afraid that, again, some people make fun of her for it. They're going to somehow or another notice it. They're going to make fun of her for it, and she's going to take it off. In a chutzner, we allow her again to wear it because of the fact that Again, we want it to look pleasant to her husband, and therefore in a chutzner we allow her to wear it. But all the things mentioned previously by a woman that she cannot wear in a public domain because we're afraid she's going to take it off, apply in a chutzner in the courtyard also. I think it's a question whether even in a courtyard with an Erev or not. Certainly that may go as far as that. That those things she can't wear, she can't even wear in a chutzner in a courtyard, even in a chutzner that has an Erev. And I believe that here, when we permit a chutzner, it means even in a chutzner without an Erev. Now, because in a chutzner without an Erev, it's only a problem of carrying midrabban according to rabbinic law. Next. A mayich is like a soft piece of fabric that's meant to absorb. So here she's wearing it in her ear to absorb her earwax or ear whatever is dripping out of her ear. Or she's wearing this bandage or this fabric in her shoe because she has some kind of a wound on her foot. So, and the third one, it was a machsha skina l'nidasa. That means the fabric that she has prepared for her nida means the fabric that she puts between her legs to catch to absorb her menstruation blood. These things we say she can wear into public domain. Now, clearly, these things she's wearing them in order to protect her body. So therefore, they're not a burden, like a piece of clothing. The question is there any concern that if they would fall out, that she would carry them? So we say that in the case, so it's interesting, the Bartanura points out that in the case of the pad that she's wearing for her blood, there we say that if it falls off, she's not going to take it and put it back in. She's already discussed it with the blood that's in it. She's not going to put it back in. When it comes, though, to the other ones, the Bartanura speaks out. When it comes to the moich, to the fabric that's in her ear and her shoe, there the Bartanura says they have to be tied on. Because otherwise we are concerned that if they fall out or fall off, that she's going to pick it up and she's going to save it. So although the Mishnah doesn't say that, but the Mishnah says if the thing for her ear or the fabric for her shoe are tied on so they won't fall off, they're not considered carrying. It's something she needs for her body, and therefore it's not considered a burden. It's like a piece of clothing. When it comes to the meich for her nida, for her blood, there we say she doesn't have to tie them on because, again, it's not carrying, and if it falls out, she's not going to pick it up and take it back. Next. Pilpel is a peppercorn, meaning a spice. A garger melach is a piece of salt. And anything else that she puts in her mouth, she can do that and go into the public domain. But she cannot be doing it initially on Shabbos. That means like this. Why does she have this spice in her mouth or this salt? So the spice take away bad breath, and the salt is take care of a toothache. Because she's, again, doing it for her body, it's not carrying. So even though she puts it in her mouth, and she sticks it in her tooth or sticks it in her mouth somewhere, it's not carrying. It's like wearing an ornament of sorts, like wearing a piece of clothing. It's considered part of her because she needs it for herself, for her body. So we say that she can, anything she's putting in her mouth for those purposes, she can go out with them into a public domain on Shabbos. However, it has to be that she put it in her mouth before Shabbos. If she put it in her mouth on Shabbos, the problem is that somebody seeing her do it may not realize that she's doing it because she has the bad breath or the toothache. And they may think that she's just doing it to carry it somewhere else, to hide it and carry it somewhere else. And therefore, on Shabbos itself, she cannot put it in her mouth to carry outside on Shabbos. Now, let's say it fell out. That means she put it in before Shabbos, and then it fell out. So she can't put it back for the same reason. Because somebody seeing her putting it in her mouth, they suspect her was just doing it to be able to take it somewhere. And the Mishnah concludes, Shein Teiseves v'Shein Shalzav. Shein Teiseves means a false tooth, right? She's missing a tooth, so she sticks in something as a false tooth. Or a golden tooth. That means her tooth rotted, so she covers it with gold, so that the rot is not seen. So and these things were removable. So Rebbe says she can go out with it. The Chachamim forbid. Now, what should be wrong? Again, it's a tooth because she's missing a tooth. It looks bad. She has a rotten tooth. It looks bad. These kinds of things are considered things that aren't a burden because she's, again, doing it for her body. So what's the problem? And what's the problem? She's going to show it off. Hey, you want to see my tooth? Like, that doesn't sound so great either. But the answer is that the question is like this, that again, these kinds of teeth were noticeable and someone might tease her for it. So we're concerned that if somebody teases her, so she'll take it out of her mouth and carry it. So Rebbe said, we're not concerned. Why? Because even if somebody teases her, she's not going to take out the tooth or take off the gold because it's going to show her blemish. And she's going to be more concerned with that than with somebody teasing her. That's what Rebbe said. The Chachamim forbade, because the Chachamim were concerned that if somebody does make fun of her, that she will take it off and end up carrying it, even though it's going to reveal her blemish. Have a wonderful day.